Protest. Two Latino protesters call a black cop the N-word during the LA protest. We can't win like that. Put up the picture full mass. This has to be checked, dealt with, and if not, the narrative will permeate that the actions of the few indicate the actions of the many, and they do not. A video of Latino protesters in LA peppering a black cop with racist slurs. This is being used to discourage unity between the two communities as protesters continue to take the streets in opposition to an actual evil, the Trump administration and their crackdown on human beings who happen to be migrants. Quote, I'll spit in your face, F your family, N-word, F your kids, N-word, end quote. A young Latino protester yelled this at an unnamed black LA cop who remains calm, doesn't respond, does not act unprofessional, does not engage in violating constitutional rights. I'm thankful for you, sir. Quote, I can't sleep comfortably because of you. A young Latina woman says, joining in, calling the officer the N-word repeatedly while getting personal about his eating habits. She signaled she knew him as a customer at Cava, where she works. Put up this picture. You know, Dr. King helped us understand that you cannot get rid of darkness with darkness. Only light can do that. And you cannot become the same evil that you protest to stand against. Put up this next picture. I want to remind everyone, the words that I just read, the quotes, are identical to those we are protesting against. MAGA, Trumpites. The exchanges led to an ex-account holder, do-rags and MAGA caps, a pro-Trump account, to capture the video, which was viewed nearly 81,000 times. Quote, Black Americans, this ain't our business. End quote. Another one joked that a cop was behind the X account. Another post expressed disappointment, writing, quote, the N-word use is increasingly disheartening. But that doesn't change the cause. LAPD has terrorized every single minority group at some point and will continue if we keep trying to fight about everything instead of helping as a whole who struggle under the same BS system. Keep that picture up. This broke my heart. It broke my heart because we are more effective as a closed fist rather than an open hand. Calling Black people the N-word is the point. It's what we're fighting against. It's the contextualization of being subhuman. You cannot be a protester for human rights while at the same time denying those same human rights to be extended to the individuals who are extending human rights to you. Now, maybe he works for the wrong team, but he violated no rights. You judge a man or woman by the content of their character and not the color of their skin. We're going back to the 60s. There's more. It's a growing sentiment across social media, presenting as a big part of the Black community, okay? This is your narrative. This is the propaganda, though there's been just as much pushback. Quote, just say you're a coward and move on, responded one commenter on Durags and MAGA Caps feed. Quote, because when they come for you, and they will come for you, nobody will care. Added another. Quote, Black MAGA standing with police and white Americans, end quote. The use of the N-word was also at issue, with some social media users claiming it demonstrates long-held racist attitudes by Latinos against Blacks. Well, certainly those Latinos. But it's not just conservative. Conservatives who are encouraging the Black community to stay on the sidelines. Quote, Black folk go home. Black folks go home. This is not our business, end quote. One woman captured on video yelled as she drove past a protest site. As long as this government is taking 30% off the top of my paycheck, every damn thing that happens in this nation is my business. All of it is yours too. All right, we have a counter narrative. Here it is.
If I tell somebody to mind their business, and yet I go on the internet and see them all discussing how they're telling other people not to f with me, I would argue that's not minding your business. Because let's be honest, that what Black people are doing is not minding their business. It's actively discouraging these protests and telling other Black people to do the same. That's not minding your business. So even if we say that immigration policy is only being wielded specifically against Latin American immigrants, there are Black Latin American immigrants. I really don't understand where you're going with that. It doesn't involve us. Second of all, I literally live in the city with the highest Ethiopian population outside of Ethiopia. How do you think they got here if not immigration? And they're Black. So I don't understand where we're going with this whole, it doesn't involve us, to fixate on a group of people who already tried to stop this altogether. This is what you all have to understand. I can't speak for you, but my politic does not start and stop on election day. A lot of y'all think that election day is the end all be all of political activity. So you think that if you voted for the quote unquote right person, you did your part and you could throw your hands up and wipe your hands clean of it. If you are someone who is encouraging your ethnic group to not support protests because the people you think are the most involved in these protests did not vote the way that you wanted them to vote, your politic is made of nothing.
Well said. I concur 100%. I stand with individuals who decided not to mind their business, like Marcus Garvey, Rosa Parks, the late Congressman John Lewis, many others. In addition, the civil rights establishment, the National Urban League, meanwhile, is standing firm behind the protesters. Quote, we stand in full and urgent solidarity with California Governor Gavin Newsom, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, and the residents of LA during this alarming moment, end quote. The leaders of 8 civil rights organizations wrote in one joint letter. Why are they all on the same page? Because of perspective. Perspective. They've been doing this for a long time. They realize the value of longevity and loyalty. Rapper the Game, what about? He also posted on Instagram Monday in favor of Black and brown unity. Quote, ever since I could remember, it's been Black and brown in this city, end quote. The Compton native wrote, quote, from the early days of my childhood to now, we've been side by side through it all of us, all the time. Not always seeing eye to eye, but we've shared Los Angeles for a very long time. I stand with y'all like I know you stand with us. We might fight against each other, but I promise you this, we'll burn this down get us pissed. I live and die in LA. Now, some may disagree with the contextualization of our dear brother. I appreciate the sentiment all day. All right, Jackson, thoughts here?
Well, I think this alludes to the reality that there is still a ton of anti-Black racism within all minority communities, particularly within the United States, but really within the whole Western Hemisphere, because that's how the social status has been constructed for hundreds of years up until now. Despite the fact that many, many, many Latinos are just Black people who speak Spanish, particularly in the Caribbean, your Dominicans, your Puerto Ricans. It's just Black people speaking Spanish. That's really all that is at the end of the day. But I recently saw on CNN, Harry Itten with the polls. He was showing a 40-point swing to the right for immigrants and their stances on immigration in the country. And while that does have a lot to do with just a continuation of a failure of democratic messaging, that also, again, alludes to anti-Black racism, because in this country, the further you are away from being considered Black, the closer you are to being considered white, the higher up in the social rankings you are. So it's unfortunate to see this. It's definitely unproductive, but again, it's just the continued reality of what we deal with. But you look at the Indian community, they about as brown as it gets, but you see a lot of anti-Black racism in any community, the Asian community, pretty much everybody, because we're social beings and we understand what being Black and what being white means subconsciously, first and foremost.
Yeah, understand that bigots see two colors, white and not white. So understand that. That is the polarization.